ก็เลยเข้าไปดูก็เลยว่าอ้าวทำไมเด็กคนนั้นที่นอนไม่มีเลือดไม่มีคราบเลือด
The person who checked on my kid saw that she had no blood stains, so that person walked over to other deceased kids' bodies to take a look. At that moment, Amy just woke up. She stood with her face facing the wall as Amy was sleeping at the far end. She slept in the corner opposite her best friend named Tichin because they slept in 2 rows. As the rescuers saw her waking up, they covered her with a blanket and carried her out so the child didn't know anything, didn't know what had happened. At least 185 people have been killed amid unrest in Iran, a human rights group said, following the death of a young woman in police custody, which has sparked protests across the country. 19 children are among the dead, Norway-based Iran human rights group reported. The protests have become the biggest challenges to Iran's clerical leaders in years, with demonstrators calling for the downfall of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Despite the fierce crackdown by authorities, protesters remain undeterred. In Javan Rud, video obtained by Reuters and released on Saturday showed fires burning on a road. Reuters was not able to confirm the date it was filmed. Videos on social media showed female students chanting "Get Lost" as Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi visited their university campus on Saturday. Reuters was able to confirm the video's location based on satellite imagery, but not the date it was captured. Authorities have described the protests as a plot by Iran's foes, including the United States. They have also denied accusations that live bullets have been used. Other demonstrations in solidarity with the women of Iran have taken place around the world. On Saturday, protesters gathered in London to show their support. The unrest was sparked after Mahsa Amini died in police custody. The 22-year-old had been arrested in Tehran for wearing inappropriate attire.
North Korea fired 2 ballistic missiles early on Sunday, authorities in neighbouring countries said, raising concerns in Washington and its allies in Tokyo and Seoul. It is the 7th such launch by Pyongyang in recent days, and has added to widespread alarm that it could signal the country is closer than ever to resuming nuclear testing for the first time since 2017. Japan's Defense Minister Toshiro Ino said on Sunday such tests absolutely cannot be tolerated, adding that North Korea's actions were a threat to peace and security to the region, as well as the international community. Both of Sunday's missiles reached an altitude of 60 miles and covered 218 miles, Ino said. On Tuesday, North Korea test-fired a ballistic missile further than ever before, sending it soaring over Japan for the first time in 5 years and prompting a warning to residents there to take cover. North Korea's neighbour and ally China called on the United States to create conditions to resume dialogue with Pyongyang. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning pointed to joint military exercises held by the US and its allies around the Korean peninsula when asked about Sunday's launches. North Korea has pursued missile and nuclear tests in defiance of UN sanctions. It said on Saturday its missile tests were for self-defense against direct US military threats and had not harmed the safety of its neighbors.
3-year-old Pavanat Supalwang, Amy to her family, is normally a light sleeper, but at nap time on Thursday, she stayed fast asleep under a blanket, oblivious to the tragedy unfolding around her. 22 children stabbed to death in Amy's nursery. To her mother, Panampay Sithong, it's a miracle she survived.
My kid is not a deep sleeper. I believe there must be some spiritual thing covering her eyes and ears. We have different beliefs, but to me, I think that protected my kid.
Amy was the only child in the nursery to have escaped unscathed after former police officer Panya Kamrap burst into the nursery, one stop in a rampage through the town of Uthai Sawan that killed more than 30 people.
The person who checked on my kid saw that she had no blood stains. So that person walked over to other deceased kids' bodies to take a look. At that moment, Amy just woke up. She stood with her face facing the wall as Amy was sleeping at the far end. She slept in the corner opposite her best friend named Tachin because they slept in 2 rows. As the rescuers saw her waking up, they covered her with a blanket and carried her out so the child didn't know anything, didn't know what had happened.
On Sunday, the family's home was bustling with relatives and neighbors sharing food and reflections on the tragedy. They sat in a circle around Amy, heaping blessings and tying white threads on her wrists for luck. The celebration bittersweet in a community flooded with grief.
I have no words. I'm in shock. I feel for other families when I visit them, but when I turn around and look at myself, I'm glad that my kid survived. It's a mixed feeling of sadness and gratitude.
Amy's parents said she seems to have no memory of the attack.
She was asking her grandmother, "Why don't you pick up Tachin back from school?" And her grandmother told her that Tachin is already dead, and also the teacher. She only knows that the teacher and her friend Tachin are dead, but she doesn't know that all her friends are all gone.